Welcome to the Longest Term Board Gaming Podcast. This is episode 14, Origins Recap. My name is Tyler.
Hello, this is Kevin.
Hey guys, Ben here.
In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the games that we played from Origins, as well as some of the experiences and highlights that we had a week ago in Columbus, Ohio.
First con ever that all of us have been to. You've been to, the Dice Tower retreat, Ben.
I've been to the retreat, but it's not a con.
Nope, no vendors there or anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so first one. Excited to talk about it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So we'll try to be brief.
As brief as we can be.
Sometimes
we're a little long-winded.
Welcome to the longest turn.
Yes, right.
So why don't we go ahead and just get started, and let's jump right into the games that we've been playing lately.
Sure. I never go first. Should I go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I got a chance to play Cape May by Thunderworks Games at Origins. I picked it up on a whim. I do this. It's a thing I do. And Tyler and I got to play it together. I really liked it. The theme of it is Cape May in like the Victorian era. And generally you're trying to build buildings, either
commercial or residential.
Yeah, either commercial or residential, and then upgrade those buildings for a cost. And then ultimately the different types of buildings will score victory points based on what you build. And you might have an end objective card that says have the most Victorian buildings or have the most commercial buildings, type of a thing. So you're doing a little bit of area control, but also trying to build the right thing. If you build the wrong type of building, you don't have enough money.
You're also building them in different zones, all the way from concrete or rock.
Well, it was sand, dirt, grass, and stone going upwards on the board.
Yeah, and so like the residential places on the beach were way more valuable point-wise, I think.
Yeah, and what one thing that was interesting about it is you're also moving around the board to try to get to different spaces. Yeah. So it kind of had like a old school Sorry or Monopoly kind of feel. Like I was moving around the board, then I was building my building. So it kind of felt a little bit of a throwback to some earlier games.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It was a good thing. It felt sort of nostalgic to me, and I don't know. It felt nice. I liked it a lot.
And it also added another piece to the puzzle, like because you had movement cards.
That's right. Every turn you have a certain number of actions you could do, 3 actions, and you can choose from a number of different options what you're going to do on your turn.
So, and the movement actions, they are a specific number of spaces on different cards.
Yeah.
And so you play that like the 6, you have to move 6 spaces.
Exactly.
So, and you're discarding that card, which you have to refresh to get those cards back. So it was another piece of the puzzle. How do I get exactly to where I need to go with the movement cards that I have left?
Yep.
Was it like a Century Spice Road mechanic where you play cards and then you have to take an action to get them back type of thing?
It's to take an action to get them back, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool.
But then I also liked, and this I really liked because I was very lucky, if you land on a space that had a seagull, you get to draw birds.
Birds.
You get to draw birds out of a bag. And at the end of the game, the unique sets of birds that you have score
kind of a lot of victory points.
Yeah. And I got the full set.
Oh, you ended up with all of them? I thought you were one short.
No, I got the full set.
Awesome.
And had one additional
I
one.
had like 4 unique birds and you had 8 unique birds.
Yeah, the odds of that happening on the first play were pretty low.
Yeah, you had 9 draws and had 8 unique birds. That's insane.
Yeah, it was great. Well, and there was one action card that let me put back a bird, I think, and swap it. And so, it was lucky. But I thought the production quality of the game was beautiful. I think it's funny that, you have Thunderworks Games that has all these like fantasy themes in the Ulos world. You've got Role Player and Lockup and
Cartographers.
Cartographers, yeah. And they've got new ones coming down the line, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the episode. And then you have Cape May.
Yeah, it totally was different. I just really liked it. My overall impression of it was it felt comforting to play a game that for me was more middleweight versus heavyweight.
Yeah.
I still felt like I had decisions to make. I still felt like there was strategy to it, but it didn't feel so intense as a lot of the other games I've been playing lately.
What's the playtime on this one?
45 minutes?
I think it's closer to an hour.
An hour?
Oh,
yeah. I think
I need more games like that in my life that are about an hour in length and have meaningful decisions,
I would put it at the same level of difficult as, let's say, Catan or something like that.
Cool.
Yeah. And this one came out in 2021. I think it kind of went under the whole COVID radar where they released it and I didn't really hear a lot about it. I don't remember ever really seeing it.
I had never heard of it.
But when we met back up at a certain point in the con and you said you had bought it, I was like, awesome, let's go play it, and we went and sat down and played it, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I got it on a whim, sort of. One of the aspects of the con is that you can sign up for different events, and it may be playing a particular game, and any of the events to play Cape May were all sold out. So I was like, a lot of people want to play this game. A lot of people like this game. What's this all about? So I went and I actually stood behind some people while they played for 10 minutes or so I can kind of get an idea. And then I booked it over to the booth and bought it.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't get to play this one with you guys. I was playing another game that I'll talk about later, but I'm excited to give it a shot.
It's fun. It's a little lighter, so it just felt happy to me.
But nice. And it was beautiful.
It was gorgeous. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So
that's awesome.
Cape May by Thunderworks Games. I definitely enjoyed it.
So a game that Tyler and I got to play is in a series of games that we have talked a lot about on this podcast. It is the first in the series, and that is Race for the Galaxy. This one was designed by Tom Lehman, like all the other games in the Race series. It came out in 2009, I believe. I remember this was the first few years that I was getting really into games. And I remember talking to the guys at the game shop, seeing if I should get it or not. And they're like, well, it's a good one, but it's got some crazy iconography and it's kind of hard to teach. And, but it's a really good game. So I'm like, I'm going to give it a try. To give you kind of a feel of how it plays, it's a card game. You have 5 different action cards in your hand that you can play. And you secretly choose a card, and then everybody who's playing flips that over. Now, if you select an action, you get that action, you get a bonus for selecting that action, and everybody else around the table gets to take that action as well. So one of them is you get to draw cards from the top of the deck. If you select the action yourself, you get to keep an additional card. Otherwise, you're, I think, drawing 3 and discarding 2. If you take that action, you're drawing 3 and discarding 1. So you get to keep 2 cards. There's a develop action where there's cards in your hand and they have a little triangle on them. You can develop those cards into your tableau. The way the game ends is if somebody builds 12 cards in their tableau, or there's a common victory pile, chits that are victory points. Once that's gone, then the game ends as well. So it's a race to get 12 cards in your tableau, or it's a race to drain all those victory point chips. You settle planets. You can either pay cards to settle them, or you can take them over with military strength that you have. There's production planets, so you can take an action that produces on these planets. You can take an action that you can trade for more cards, or you can trade for victory points. So you're doing this, you play until one of the victory conditions are met, and then whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. That's a really quick explanation of it. I think this game is great. I've played it, I don't know how many times. It has a digital implementation that I've played on my iPad probably hundreds of times. The physical version is a lot of fun. The cards and seeing everything out in front of you in your tableau. It's great. The engine building is really where this game is at. Getting cards that work together and then trying to get your strategy to work out. There is a little bit of luck of the draw. Obviously, you're not going to get all the cards you want, but that whole pivoting in the middle is a thing. It's a tactical, it's a strategic game, but it's also a tactical game based on the cards that you get. So I love it. I love everything. I love all of the games in this series, and I think Tom Lehman really does engine building. He's the best, I think, designer for engine building games out there.
Do you have a favorite of his games? Like, could you rank them if you had to?
I probably could. I'd have to think about it. We talked about this in, I think, prior episodes a little bit.
Yeah.
But I love Roll. That could be my favorite, is Roll for the Galaxy. But they're all pretty equal, and they all do a little bit of a different thing and focus on a different thing. Like New Frontiers, sprawling, huge game. Table presence is amazing. Goods cubes are just awesome. I don't know. They're all great.
So I had a lot of fun playing this game. That was my first time ever playing Race for the Galaxy, and I believe I've played all of the other For the Galaxy and other space games in this world that Tom Lehman's created. I felt a little bit like I was trying to finger paint in the presence of Da Vinci or one of the masters, right? Like,
interesting.
Yes, no, like
right.
The synergy was not there. I had a little bit harder time picking up the rules and the gameplay, which I was really surprised by because, I've played all the other ones and there's a lot of shared iconography, and I don't know. It was a little bit harder for me to pick up, but then I could not find a good synergy with my engine and cards that were coming my way. And I felt like I was sitting at the table with the master. Right? Kevin being the master. That was my first play.
It was your first playthrough?
Yeah. And actually, so we played one game, and there was two guys that were on the table behind us that were nice enough to, hey, do you guys want to play a game when you finish that game? Dan and Spencer from Tallahassee, Florida. And that was so cool. And we ended up playing Race for the Galaxy.
That was a fun game.
It was. We played a second game with them, and I still felt like I was, like, hey, am I doing this right, Kevin? Right, a couple of times. Like I couldn't quite figure out the puzzle in my first couple plays, but I had a fun time playing it. If I had to rank them, it would not be at the top for me. I think I like New Frontiers the most, followed by Roll.
Yeah, that is a common criticism of the game. If you're new and you're playing somebody who has played it a lot, you're not going to win because you just don't know the cards that work well with each other.
Right.
Like I could be playing and have a strategy of, novelty planets, for example, and I want to dig for that 6 cost development card that's going to give me multipliers for all my novelty worlds. And if you don't know that's in there, you don't even know to look for it. Right. You don't see the synergies with the cards and the different type of strategies as easily.
And a lot of those same things show up in New Frontiers.
They do, but
it's still a little different not knowing what's in the deck, right?
Well, New Frontiers is different because there's obviously no cards. You have all the 6 cost developments in front of you, so you can look at it and you can develop your strategy at the start of the game and try to do your strategy. So it's not as newbie friendly, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But once you get it and once you've played a lot, there's so many engine building options in that game. And like I said, you may not get the card you want, but pivoting in the middle of the game and having that work is such a satisfying experience.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I mean,
well, and if it's on Board Game Arena, right?
It is. It's on like all the digital platforms. It seems like it's been around forever. There used to be an AI. It's called the Keldon AI that some guy developed. His name's probably Keldon. Right.
Weird.
So I started playing that a long time ago. There's been a good digital implementation of this game for a long time, and it's a great way to play it. You can knock out a game in 10 minutes, and it's a good, satisfying experience.
Nice.
So, it's a good one. That is Race for the Galaxy.
One of the games that I was able to play with Kevin at Origins was Don't Llama Dice. And we both actually picked up a copy of this from Amigo. This game is a very simple game designed by Rainer Knizia. It takes some of the things from Llama and expands them a little bit and makes them a little more interesting by adding dice. So in this game, you have a llama row of cards, which is cards 1 through 6 plus a llama. And then you're dealt 6, each player is dealt 6 cards, and then you roll dice, and whatever numbers and or llamas that you roll that you have in your hand out in front of you, you can discard those. And so you're trying to get rid of the cards that you have in front of you. So if you roll dice faces that are not in front of you, then you have to take a card from the llama row, which makes your hand grow. Mm-hmm. And at a certain point, if there are no more cards left, then the round ends and you're stuck with those cards. If you roll 3 llamas, you get to get rid of one of your chips. Just like in Llama, when you win a hand by getting rid of all of your cards, you get to get rid of one of your chips. That still applies in this game. But also if you roll 3 llamas, then you get rid of one of your chips. First person to 40, and then whoever has the fewest points wins. A lot of similarities to the original game. I think I kind of like this one a little bit more.
I definitely like it more. You didn't talk about the llama drama.
Oh, I didn't talk about llama drama.
You got to talk about llama drama.
So if you roll something that is not available in front of you or in the llama row, then you have rolled a llama drama, and you collect all of the cards that are in the llama row and add them to your score.
Oh, heavens.
Which is terrible.
Right.
You can get a lot of points.
Which I think there was one of the games that we played, you were ahead in points by having fewer.
Right.
And also what's different in this game too, people can still pass their turns and just take whatever points that they're going to get. But if everybody else passes, you can no longer use the llama row. And if you roll something that's not in front of you in your hand,
llama drama.
And I think that's how I won the game that I won. And we played a few games in a span of a few minutes, right? This one's a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Yeah, and because there's dice, there's more luck involved in this version for sure, because there's dice. But because there's luck involved, it lends to more exciting situations, right? I think anyway.
Yeah.
Right. When you roll 3 llamas, it's always cool. You know, you're getting rid of hopefully one of your black chips, which is the 10 pointers. It keeps people in the game for the whole game.
Yeah.
Because even if you're at 30, you can get lucky and start rolling llamas and get rid of your chips and you're right back in it, you know.
Well, and it's cool. Each of the 3 die have 2 llama faces on them. So rolling 3 llamas is not, it's not a rare occurrence. It happens a few times during each game, or it did, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting that you have your cards out in front of you so everybody can see them. It was also cool. We both bought copies, and so I opened up my copy and grabbed the dice, and we didn't have to pass dice back and forth. Right. It just made the game go even quicker, and that was cool.
Yeah, that was cool. This is the only game that I've played with my family coming back from Origins, and it went over really well.
Nice.
I played with my 8-year-old. We're easing her into games. You know, it's easy enough for an 8-year-old to pick up, and she did. Let's be real. It's Llama, right? There's not a whole lot of strategy here, right? The rules are really straightforward, but it was just a ton of fun. They loved it. And I think it's a game that's just like the original Llama. It's going to get played a lot at my house. So
I actually also did play it with my family, and we actually played a 6-player game, and that dragged a little bit.
Oh, did it?
It was later at night, but it was still fun. And I think everybody at the table still enjoyed it. My niece, Sadie, won both games that we played, and she was excited about that. So that was awesome. Cool. But it's awesome. You know, you can bring in younger kids into this game, and it's an easy game to pick up.
And it's still a game that adults are going to enjoy too.
Yep.
Those are the best type of games with kids. Is the kids love them and the adults love them. So it's great.
And honestly, this is one of I think this might be the only game where I really knew was going to be at the show, or was hoping it would be at the show, and I was seeking it out, right? I didn't have a lot on my list. This is one that I had on my list. Like, I need to find this if it's there, because I love Llama. So
Agreed. And we did ask them about Llama Party. And unfortunately,
it didn't seem like there were plans to bring it over quite yet.
If you're in the U.S., then it's going to be a tough one to get. But that's another one I'm interested. Hopefully they bring it here to the U.S. soon. But.
So real quick, another really fun game that I picked up at Origins was from the 25th Century Games booth. It is called Green Team Wins. It's a party game. It was described to me simply as kind of the opposite of Just One. In Just One, you're trying to come up with the most unique clue so that your clues don't cancel each other out. In this game, Green Team Wins, you're trying to come up with the most popular answer. So there are 3 card types. There's a fill in the blank. There's a multiple choice between 3 choices with a question. And then there's a 50-50 kind of this or that card. So you take 5 of each of those, shuffle them together. You play 15 rounds. Everybody has a marker board or a dry erase board with a dry erase marker. And then somebody flips a card, reads out the card, and everybody writes down their answer and then holds up their board when everybody's done. And it's really quick. You find out what the most popular answer is. And the people with the most popular answer join the green team and they gain a point. And then the next card, if they're still to give the most popular answer, they stay on the green team, they get 2 additional points each time they stay on green team. Well, if you give a less popular answer or not the most popular answer, you join the orange team and you're a loser and you don't get any points. So this, I played this with my family, extended family, while I was visiting after Origins. We had a little side vacation and we had up to 12 people at one point playing this game. We played it 8 times. Everybody loved it. It was a hit party game. I think everybody enjoyed it. We were laughing. There were some funny answers, like a fill in the blank card might be Michael blank, right? And some people put Michael Scott. Some people put Michael Jordan. Some people put Michael Jackson. One of my nieces or nephews wrote Michael Angelo.
Oh,
so there are funny answers like that come out, right? And you're kind of playing to try and be the most popular answer, but it's also a party game. So you're also trying to be funny. And it plays really quick. 15 rounds. The max score is 29 points. My sister-in-law Camille scored a perfect score in one of the games. It's just a lot of fun. It's really cool. I think
sounds really fun.
I think this is going to be a big hit. It was cool. I got a promo pack of cards from the booth. They were all board game related cards. And so some of them, like one of the cards I put in there when I played with my family, and it was like, what's your favorite type of games to play? Euro, Ameritrash, or card game? And so it's just funny because
playing with gamers would be pretty awesome.
Right. But also they had no clue. What's Ameritrash?
That's funny. That's cool.
It was a lot of fun. This game, I think, is going to be a hit. It was designed by Nathan Thornton, 3 to 12 players, 15 minutes, knock it out. It's awesome.
That's cool.
One more thing I want to say. I played this game every time, reclined in a recliner. People were on the couches. You don't have to sit at the table and play, which is awesome too. After a long day when you're getting together to play games, it's nice to relax. And
for a party game, that is a bonus.
Yes, being sprawled out everywhere. It was awesome. So that was Green Team Wins. So that about wraps up what we've been playing lately. Obviously, we played a lot of games at Origins, but we kind of want to jump into things that happened and what our most favorite experiences were and just kind of talk about our experience at Origins since it was our first time going.
Let's do it.
Let's kick it off. Ben, what was one of your favorite highlights from Origins?
There were so many fun things that we saw, that we did, board game related, of course. I just had so much fun when the exhibit hall opened with all the vendors. That first day that it was open, I don't know. I felt like a little kid at Christmas.
Yeah, totally.
When I was a kid, my parents used to take us to Toys R Us before Christmas, and we'd just go through the entire store and point out everything we wanted, and they'd write it down. And then we'd hope that we'd get some of those things for Christmas. And it was that exact same excitement that I felt.
That's awesome.
Just walking around, seeing all the different booths. Everybody was just happy, having a great time. People were displaying their new games and, stuff that I'd seen, but stuff that I had never seen. And at first it was funny. We all tried to stay together, I think, at the beginning. We're like, yeah, we can wander off if we need to.
Yeah,
we don't.
And then we're like, ooh, shiny. And then we're like,
I don't
gone.
think we lasted 60 seconds. And then I was gone for 3 or 4 hours before I even saw you guys again.
Yeah.
Just checking out every single booth. And that particular moment, that first half of that first day of the vendor booth there, when I was going through all of that, was just fun. It was just really fun.
Yeah, I love that as well. And it was so much fun going to different publishers and just talking to them about their games and finding games that I wasn't even aware that existed. Right. I went, one of the first publishers I talked to was Dolphin Hat Games. And we've talked about them a little bit already, but seeing their new games and how excited they were about them, it was just so cool. I'd played Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza before, but there was expansions for Taco Cat Goat Cheese Pizza. Awesome.
Yeah.
Those expansions I didn't have already. So I'm like, I got to have that, and other games like Steal the Bacon was another one that they had that they demoed really quick. And seeing quick demos of games was fun, and that whole experience was great. Hadn't experienced that before, but it was awesome.
Yeah, surprise. I was drawn into the pretty artwork of games. So I just see something. I'm like, well, that's gorgeous. I have no idea what it is. You just walk up to the booth and they're like, let me tell you about our game. And then you get a quick overview and they'll play a hand with you if you want or whatever. And it was just awesome. The displays were cool. Like some of the exhibitors had built up their areas to be, pretty fun. And they were interesting to see their little areas. And I don't know. I enjoyed it. Their exhibits.
Was it Czech Games Edition that had like the bigger size
Galaxy Trucker,
life size awesome. Galaxy
that
Trucker.
Was super cool.
I wish I didn't get a chance to play, but I kind of wish I did. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was just really cool walking up and down the aisles. Like, okay, and then trying to methodically, I've got to go back this way.
I was very methodical.
I got to go this way and then this way so I don't miss those booths. And I don't know. Like you said, a kid in a candy store. Yep. It was awesome. It was such a cool experience. I can't wait to go back to, Origins and experience that again, as well as experiencing it in the future at Gen Con or other cons. So
I was surprised by how much variety there was too. It wasn't just board games. I wasn't really expecting there to be jewelry booths and dice booths and artwork and things like that.
Board game candy pieces.
I never figured that out. Were they actually candy?
Yeah. I think they were. Yeah.
They looked so real.
That's like Tyler's dream.
Yeah, right. I've been known to nibble on a piece or two before.
Right.
Is that an M&M? Nope, it's an egg from Wingspan.
Or it's an egg from Praga, which actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sold that copy in the math trade, by the way.
Oh.
With the chomped on egg.
Yeah. It didn't even have teeth marks in it.
Well,
did you buy any of the candy?
No.
Oh, I should have. I thought they were actually replacement pieces. I didn't know if they were real candy.
Rows and rows of replacement pieces. But they also had a section that was actual candy pieces. But I laughed because the rows of replacement pieces had a sign that said, "These are not candy pieces."
We need that sign.
Yeah, no, I on purpose did not take a picture of that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Tyson did, I believe, post the other picture of the candy on Instagram, and you can check that out, I guess. But that was pretty funny. When I saw that, I was like, I got to take a picture of this and send it to Tyson.
Kevin, what was one of your highlights?
So one of my highlights was just the random things that happened that I wasn't expecting. Right. I just thought that was so cool. So the first thing was Ben and I, so Tyler was you weren't feeling well.
I had a massive headache.
Right.
And we went back to the room after a long day that first day.
Was it the first day?
It was the first day.
Yeah.
I had a massive headache. It was after we played Race for the Galaxy a couple times.
Yep.
And I thought I had taken some Excedrin, but I had only eaten some food so I could take some Excedrin. So I laid down for like 15 or 20 minutes. Headache did not go away. I realized I still had them in my pocket. I was so
That's why
out
the
of
headache
it.
didn't go away.
I like, and then, I was like, you guys just go to dinner, get out of here. Like, I'm just not feeling it. I took the Excedrin. I woke up like 3 hours later when you guys opened the hotel room to come back in.
Right.
I was out.
Meanwhile,
While this was happening, so Ben and I were like, well, let's go get some food. And we picked Barley's to go get some food. So on our way there, we met some guys that were attending Origins that were in the elevator. And they're like, hey, where are you guys going to dinner? Like, we're going to Barley's. Like, oh, do you guys know about the meetup in the basement at Barley's? We're like, no, we don't know about this. They're like, oh yeah, they sold tickets for this meetup, but they probably have some extra spots. So we're like, oh, okay. So we went there to Barley's and
we felt a little awkward.
We felt a little bit weird. It's like, well, should we go downstairs? We don't even know what this is all about. They're like, it's $10 to get in. Sure, let's just go check it out.
Well, we decided at first, we're like, no, we'll just get a real table.
Yeah.
We'll stay upstairs.
That's right.
But the wait was like 45 minutes.
Oh yeah, the wait was 45 minutes. That's right. So we're like, let's go downstairs. There's probably not a wait there. They serve food down there too. So we went down
show
there.
Up down in the basement.
And they're like, yeah, we have spots. It's $20. So we gave them $20 and they had some games that were on the wall that we could play. And it was really cool atmosphere.
It was awesome.
It was a cool atmosphere down there. There's like these
it was like a
tunnel things that was like, it was almost like a wine cellar.
It was like a wine cellar with stones and brick work down in there.
Yeah. So Ben and I, we go up to the bar and the super nice waiter that was there.
Yep.
He was a little overworked, I think. Keegan was his name. But we ended up ordering food and I go and grab a copy of Can't Stop. And we're like, hey, let's just play this while we wait for our food. And it was just like a super chill, fun atmosphere. We played Can't Stop. It happened to be an amazing game of Can't Stop.
Well, it wasn't that
for
amazing.
One person.
I didn't love it, but
right. But it was one of those Can't Stop games where you come back from behind in this improbable win.
Totally.
And it was fun.
It was epic.
It was fun and exciting.
Nice.
And then we got our food, and the food was great.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to get something lighter because we had a pretty heavy lunch. And it turned out not to be a light turkey sandwich like I wanted, but it was still delicious. It was just fun.
It was like a triple-decker turkey sandwich.
That was cooked in butter. Like it was just super heavy. And then you got an appetizer.
I got us like pretzel sticks to dip in cheese.
It was bar food, right? I should have expected.
It was amazing though.
But it was amazing. So it was unexpected, super cool.
Everyone was friendly down there.
Everybody was friendly because everybody had just gotten to Origins, and I think everybody was excited and playing games, and it was just really cool. So that was one unexpected thing. There was other things that happened, but that was one thing that was really cool.
I've heard from other content creators that is one of the hangout spots at Origins is at Barley's. So I was a little bummed to miss out on that, but we had some other good experiences. So one of the things that I loved, and we actually, it's a little more food adjacent than board game adjacent, but we heard from our friend, Greg, who once lived in Columbus and went to Ohio State.
Yep.
You guys need to check out Schmidt's, was it Smokehouse?
Sausage House.
Sausage House. In German Village, which was about 2.5 miles south of the convention center.
Turns out it's exactly 2.3.
2.3 Columbus miles.
Yes. We'll talk about that in a second.
It's 2.3 human miles.
So we lifted to Schmidt's, and we went in, and I was starving.
I was very hungry.
Yeah.
And this was the first night that we got there. The food was out of this world, so authentic delicious. German food. It was amazing.
They had schnitzels. They had sausages. We'll talk about the cream puffs.
When that waiter walked up in the lederhosen, we knew we were in good hands.
Yeah, right.
And I think he was disappointed we didn't order any beers, but we made up for it in pastries.
We did.
Right. Yeah, it was incredible. So the food I had that first night, I had a Bahama Mama little sandwich, or what do you call it?
It was a hot dog kind of.
It was like a hot dog,
sausage and
with a
bread.
Forster.
Yeah, and
yes.
I put. I'm usually not a big mustard fan, but the mustard that
They had
I
a
put
deli
on
mustard
there,
that was sort of sweet.
oh, it was incredible. It was so good, and you had
It was
something
a
else.
brat sandwich that
on a pretzel bun.
Yeah, that was amazing, and like the waffle fries were.
He's over there getting fries. Meanwhile,
Beer
I'm
batter.
having Spätzle, I think is how you say it. Had no idea what it was, but I'm like, I've never heard that word. I'm going to order it.
Yeah.
It was like little potato chunks.
But you liked it,
It was
though,
good.
right?
It was. They were kind of doughy and potatoey with a delicious cheesy sauce on them. They were very good.
Yeah,
So-
and I had the traditional potato.
Their potato salad.
Potato salad, yeah.
Kartoffelsalat, if you will.
Kartoffel.
It was marvelous. Just everything I had there was delicious.
Yeah, it was amazing. So they had these half-pound
That's right.
cream,
You heard it
Literally
right.
a half pound.
yeah, cream puffs, right?
Yeah,
And mine was Oreo flavored.
I had vanilla.
And I had the peanut butter with chocolate sauce on top.
Oh my goodness! So we decided, after eating those, we better walk back to the
Burn off at least a couple
the
of
hotel.
calories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because 2.3 miles in Columbus, for some reason, takes about
45 minutes.
45 minutes, about 10 minutes longer than it normally would, I feel like, anywhere else.
It seemed like it. Maybe it's because we were loaded up on sausage.
Yeah.
That's probably part of it.
But we also, the whole time we were walking, Ben was talking about plants and trees and flowers and all.
So a little bit about Ben. He knows a lot about plants.
Right.
So don't
and-
shut up.
But it was awesome. Like it was super cool. And that area of Columbus was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
And, all really well kept yards for the most part.
Yeah.
And interesting trees
trees
and
and
flowers. Going on.
flowers.
It was really cool. That was a fun experience. After great food, we laughed all the way back to the hotel. And every time we'd ask Ben, how much further? It was like, 40 minutes.
Still 30 minutes.
Still 30 minutes. Like,
You asked 4
did we
minutes
not
ago.
Move like
It's time for the 10-minute update.
yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
We liked Schmidt so much. We went back a second night for dinner.
A couple days later.
It was amazing. Right as we were finishing up our meal, a couple guys in lederhosen showed up and started playing some. Was it polka or?
Yeah.
They had an accordion and a tuba.
An accordion and a tuba.
And a microphone. They were singing.
And they were telling jokes and ripping on, the sausage party tables with all the guys that were all by themselves.
Yeah.
right?
Didn't have dates.
Wondered where their wives were.
It was funny. And, that was a really cool experience. And I would fly into Columbus, happily go eat at Schmidt's, hop back on the plane to come home, and it would be a worthwhile trip.
Take me with you. It was amazing.
I told my wife the same thing. It's like, if we're ever close to Columbus, we're making the trip to Schmidt's.
Yeah.
And my dad spent some time in Germany, and my family's from that area. So I really wish my dad was there, and I'd like to take him there someday
That'd be
to
great.
go there. It'd be awesome. So
That was cool. So that was Schmidt's, one of the other food highlights of the trip.
Am I allowed to talk about food, my food too, or do we
Sure,
need to talk
no,
about
no.
board games ever?
yeah. Well, we
get
are
back to
going
those.
to talk about board games, but the food was a big part of the trip.
One thing I did love was how close the convention center was to the hotel we stayed at, because we could walk there, 5 minutes? And I get kind of worried when we're in an environment like that where we didn't have a car. Where am I going to eat? How am I going to eat? That kind of thing. I plan from meal to meal. It's what I do. And conveniently, there was the North Market halfway between us and the convention center. So it's 2 minutes away from anywhere I was at any given time. And that market was awesome. I loved it. It was... it reminded me of one time I went to Seattle to Pike's Place, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. It was like a tiny baby version of that wasn't as crowded.
Yeah.
It had all sorts of unique restaurants, different ethnicities of food you could try. There was a Somali restaurant, homemade Italian pasta that's... do you guys see the colors on those? Like how she used color when she was making the raviolis. So they were striped black and white. And
There's a ramen bar.
yeah. And when I tried to order the ramen bar, the guy that was cooking it couldn't even talk to me. He had to have a a helper to even take the order. It was so good. Jenny's ice cream, which, as it turns out, by the way, everyone, it's sold at Whole Foods.
Oh, is it really?
Here in Castle Rock.
Really?
Yes, they didn't have every flavor that was there, but I did buy 6 flavors.
You bought 6 flavors?
I did.
I didn't even try it once.
You did
So
it?
good.
No, I got it. I had it twice. And
So-
both times it was amazing.
That butter almond brittle one.
Yeah.
What is it? Almond
I know which one you're talking about.
was at Whole Foods here in Castle Rock.
Oh my gosh. This is breaking news that I'm very excited about.
Yes.
My mouth's still watering thinking about Schmidt's.
But they had that spicy chicken place we went to that was good.
Hot chicken.
Hot chicken. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
The pizza place was really good.
Oh, I got the pizza. Yeah, one time.
was
Oh,
just
they
so
had
cool.
they had a bakery in the morning that every morning.
Oh,
not every morning, but
the breakfast sandwiches were awesome.
That's the bagel place.
That's the bagel place.
Oh,
but
sorry.
the bakery had this almond pastry.
I never got it.
That it wasn't the best almond pastry I had, but it was really good. And I got that a few times in the mornings for breakfast.
It just felt fun. We were there for 4 or 5 days, and I never ate the same thing twice except for the ice cream.
And it was nice that it never felt really crowded. Which I was kind of surprised by because it's right there
Yeah.
by the convention center.
Yep.
So one of the cool experiences that I had was going to the Thunderworks Games booth, which of course they do role player and other games in that world, role player adventures. Cartographers, I was able to get a few different new expansion maps for Cartographers. I'm excited to play those. But I was in the booth talking to Keith Mateka, I believe is how you pronounce his name, which, he's the guy at Thunderworks. He's the owner, designer of a lot of those games, right? I was talking to him about what they've got coming down the pipeline. And he was telling me about Goblin Vaults, which is also in the world of Ulos, along with role player and those other games. And that sounds cool. I guess it ties back into there's some references to the goblins playing a specific game in role player adventures. And so I think it's just super cool how they're expanding this world with different types of games. But then he was like, have you ever played Acquire? And my eyes lit up because if you've listened to this podcast, I grew up loving and playing Acquire. That's why I'm a board gamer to this day. That was what infused that love for board games at a very young age. Acquire is awesome. I played, the 1967 version my whole childhood, right? Growing up. So when he said that, I wanted to reach out and hug him. I didn't.
That would have been weird.
I told him that I wanted to hug him. And he kind of looked like, okay, weirdo.
Crazy board gamer over here.
Yeah. But he told me about this game. It's called Dawn of Ulos. And he just, he's like, if you've ever played Acquire, we're taking some of those concepts and expanding on them a little bit. And I was, I just could not have been more excited.
Did you pee a little?
I didn't pee. Holy crap. But it's not on BGG yet. It doesn't have a listing on there yet. The description from Thunderworks Games is, the time has come. Azima, the benevolent, highest god of dragons, forges together the elements of every plane under the rainbow flames of her breath. A new world is born, Ulos, the plane of unity. As she toils, Azima opens rifts to other planes and draws from their elemental essence. Armies flood through these rifts to fight over Azima's newly made lands. As I understand it, as a player, you are investing in these armies that are flooding into the new lands. I believe that Keith said that this is going to be going to Kickstarter this year, around August, I think. I cannot wait. I will be backing it for sure. I love role player. I love cartographers, and look forward to additional games in this world, especially ones that are based on the greatest game of my childhood. So that is Dawn of Ulos, and I can't wait. This is awesome. I wouldn't have found out about this game had I not been at Origins. Tim and Keith were both super cool in that booth. You know, I just excited to support their games in the future. And I mean, you and I played Cape May that you bought, and that along with Tenpenny Parks don't really belong with the rest of their games, but it's cool that they've got some of those side games that aren't in the world of Role Player.
Yeah, and Cartographers is great, you know, and they have a ton of different expansions for that.
Yeah,
they got a lot of good stuff.
And they're working on new stuff for Role Player Adventures, which we haven't played. I might be interested in going down that route. You know, it's hard to get campaign games to the table, but man, when he said it's like Acquire, it's a derivative of Acquire. Like I was
enough said.
Yeah, take my money now.
Yep, exactly.
So that was another cool experience.
Well, let's talk about a game that we got played.
Okay.
So you mentioned events, a lot of events that you could sign up for. Before, when the events went live, we all got on
like a couple
Discord,
weeks before.
right? A couple weeks before. We all got on Discord and we're like, hey, what do we want to do? Let's plan this out.
We were trying to organize with each other so we could.
Yeah.
Which their website could use some work.
Well,
for future.
That's true.
They learned a few things, we'll say.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It wasn't as smooth as we were hoping, I guess. But one thing that caught my eye as I was looking through the event list was Power Grid. And not just normal Power Grid. This is big Power Grid, right? So we got on we got all together in the same game, and we played Power Grid. But the board was a board that was massive. It was 5 feet by 6 feet. The houses that you would place out on the board were actual light up houses. I don't know if they really looked like houses. But.
Well, has anyone ever been to Disneyland and you get a light up ice cube?
Right.
That's what those are.
Oh, that's what those are?
Yeah. They use those at Disneyland as ice cubes in your drink in some of the restaurants.
Oh, interesting. Huh. That's cool. So everybody had a different color of these houses. The power plant cards that you would bid for were oversized. I mean, everything was just big. It was big Power Grid.
It was really big.
It was big.
And everybody sat around the table. There was this nice guy that was teaching everybody how to play. I think, Ben,
it was my first time.
You hadn't played before. It was your first time. I think everybody else around the table had played before. But it was an experience, and it was a lot of fun, and
Definitely
everybody
memorable.
around the table was cool, except for maybe one guy. But we won't bring that up. But we played. I won't go into really how the game plays, but you're just trying to build your network of cities on the board, and you're auctioning power plants. You're trying to buy power plants, and then there's a resource market in front of you that gets more expensive as more resources get bought. So there's that balance. You need to make sure you have enough money to buy resources, to buy power plants, to buy houses out on the board. And that whole economic balance is just fascinating and interesting. So we played through this game. I had a strategy of just going straight up the middle of the map and kind of cutting off the whole western part of the map, which was fun. Everybody else was battling out in the east,
Yeah, you were like straight up and down the Missouri River.
Yeah, exactly. So it was making it tough for people to expand to the more expensive parts. But it was just a fun experience. I mean, I enjoyed the play. It doesn't hurt that I ended up winning, which was a lot of fun. But that was Big Power Grid. What do you guys think of Big Power Grid?
I had a lot of fun with it. I felt bad because Ben, each one of us, I was the banker, and each one of us kind of had our station. That
the board's so big that everybody has to take a role to help maintain the board.
I was the resource guy.
Yeah. I was the turn order guy.
Which I think might be the most intimidating for a first-time player.
I would have been fine if I could see people's power plants that they had bought better.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they were tied, and I needed to know which one had the higher valued card, and I couldn't always see them.
Right.
Well, the player board was the board was so massive that it was kind of hard to.
I needed to get up and walk around the board to be able to see it.
There wasn't a lot of space for cards and things, but
right, and it was so big that the guy that was running it gave You know, he gave out those things that, you know, that you move armies on the board for like big army games or something. Right?
I used that a couple times to pass things.
Casino.
Push the chips.
I used it a couple times to pass things like 6 inches to Ben.
Which was pretty funny. And you used it to pass further distances, but I think you quickly learned that maybe
it was more of an inhibitor,
right, than actually functional.
But it was just a fun time.
It was a fun experience. I had a great time.
Yeah,
glad we got that on the schedule.
Yeah, so that's Big Power Grid. One of my highlights.
Before I talk about one of my experiences, going back to kind of random things that happened, we showed up a little early on, was it Wednesday? Before the boardroom access
it
opened
at
up.
noon, and we were there early.
We were there early. We didn't realize that it was a noon opening. And so we're just walking down the hallway, and this guy, what did he say? He's just like...
He's like, hey, you guys want to play a game?
Yeah, my name's Tobin.
Yeah, my name's Tobin.
And so we sat down with this guy in the middle of the hallway at this portable table I think he had set up.
I think he brought it.
Yeah. And he pulled some chairs over that were in the convention center hall. But, you know, we played Nova Luna and he taught it to us. And it was awesome. It was so cool. It was such a cool, I mean, that was the first game that we played. If you don't count Truck Off, which Ben and Kevin played in the hotel room.
Right.
Rolling right.
Yeah.
But just another cool little experience. One of my favorite experiences of the con was seeing Septima by Mind Clash Games. And I actually had the opportunity to volunteer to demo that game in their booth for a couple of sessions on Saturday. And that game is beautiful and it is fun. And it's basically the gist of it is you're a coven of witches. The Septima, or the highest ranking witch, is going away, and you're trying to prove yourself to become the next Septima. And so you're selecting cards that do different actions like collecting ingredients, brewing potions, healing sick people. And what's cool about it is if you pick a spell or a card that someone else picks, you make your spell more powerful and you get a bonus action. However, you also you raise your suspicion level. The townsfolk, some of them are weary of you and some of them are hostile. And so you raise the suspicion level, and then the witch hunter comes after you. And he may or may not catch you. If he does, then one of your witches also will go on trial along with another witch that's already awaiting trial. And so it's just a really beautiful game. It's meant, and this is unique for Mind Clash because most of the games are pretty heavy and complex, to be played in under 2 hours. But the decisions that it presents, I was just fascinated with. I cannot wait to get to this game. It actually went to Kickstarter today. This game is awesome. I'm more excited about this game than I am about Voidfall.
Oh.
Whoa.
Yes, I know.
That's a big statement.
It is a big statement. And not to diminish what Voidfall is and what it's doing, but that's one of their games that they kickstarted already. It hasn't fulfilled yet. I'm really excited for that game, but I don't know. The whole experience of teaching Septima to people or demoing it, we played one round usually with people after I taught them the game. And it was just such a cool experience to be a part of that. I didn't really, plan on volunteering in booths, but when I saw that opportunity come up, I was like, dude, I love Mind Clash Games. We love Mind Clash Games in this group. It was such a cool opportunity to be in there, to get more eyes on the game and to learn it. And, it's a fun game and I can't wait to get it. So
yeah, it looks, like you said, it looks really pretty.
Yeah. And that was
the art style. I love the art style.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
It looks kind of weather worn.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a prototype version that they had. They had 2 prototypes in the booth. That thing is beautiful. And
that's a high quality prototype.
Yeah, no, we've talked about it before. Their production is amazing.
Unmatched.
Unmatched.
I have backed it.
I did as well.
Awesome.
All in deluxe.
Yeah,
That's right.
Well, and the price point on it is not that bad either. It was, what is it? 75 or something.
Yep. There was an add-on that
for some tokens.
Yeah, for
metal
some tokens.
and I paid 94 human dollars.
I did pay those human dollars as well.
Yeah.
Human dollars. I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
It looks awesome. I had a fun time teaching it. That was one of my highlights of Origins.
Awesome. Another highlight for me, if you've listened to the show, we had a top 5 shelf of shame episode. And my number one game to get off my shelf of shame was Star Trek Ascendancy. Before the show, I found a geek list on Board Game Geek, and it was people that were setting up games throughout the con. And I looked through the list and I saw a few games that interested me. The first one was Star Trek Ascendancy. So I'm like, I got to get in on that game. So I commented and said, I'd love to play. Todd was the person setting it up. He said he was going to set it up at 12 o'clock on Friday, and he was trying to get 6 people in the game. Blocked off 4 to 6 hours to play because it's a long game. It turns out 4 of us signed up, and it ended up being 4 that played the game. So Star Trek Ascendancy, the way it plays, it's basically just Star Trek in a box, right? So you pick whatever race or faction you're going to be. There's the Federation, the Klingons, the Romulans, the Andorians. There's other factions you can play. We played with those 4. So the Federation, Klingons, Romulans, and Andorians. I was the Federation. And when you play the game, you start in your home world. Then you expand out onto the board. So everybody is about the same distance away from each other to start the game. Then you have these space lanes that you build, and you discover new things. So you can discover a new planet. You can discover a black hole, some sort of phenomena that's out in the galaxy, right? And then you discover who lives on that planet. So you can, peacefully take over that planet, or you can, use your military might to take over that planet and get production on that planet. The game ends in one of 2 ways. You either take over the home world of another player, and you do that to 2 home worlds, then you win, or you get 5 Ascendancy. And you get Ascendancy by cashing in these culture tokens, and you get culture tokens in various ways throughout the game. Eventually, you're going to build out, you're going to meet people in the middle. You can build alliances with those people that's beneficial for both sides. You get resources from them. They get resources from you. You can break those alliances at any time. The best part of the game, I think, is the story that unfolds in the game. It's just so fun to see, what happens. So the Klingons were next to me. I'm the Federation, right? So I'm incentivized to go explore and to find strange new worlds and new people. I ended up getting over to the Klingon side, and I'm like, well, I've built up my shields. I've built up my weapons. I'm going to go try and attack the Klingons. So I come to the back door of the Klingons, and I go to their home world, and I try to take them over with my military might. I barely failed in that, so I didn't quite get their home world, but they came the other way and were starting to attack Earth, and seeing that whole thing. And then the Romulans in the middle, there was this huge battle between the Federation and the Romulans in the middle, and he just destroyed me. I didn't care. It was just amazing to see that story unfold, right? And I did horrible in the game. I only got a 3 Ascendancy, and you have to get 5 to win. It turns out that the Klingons, because I didn't overtake their home world, ended up winning the game. They barely beat the Andorians. But the story that unfolded was so exciting and so fun. I didn't care that I lost. It was just cool to see the process and see the game played. So I'm excited to get it played again. And we played in about 3 hours. So it wasn't as long as I was expecting.
You were done faster than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a 2-hour session of learning to play TI4. And then I came over and you guys were finishing up, and I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah.
Were you guys quoting movies while you were playing?
A little bit. I think Todd knew a little bit more about Star Trek world than I did. So
Okay.
the cards would come out and he'd be like, oh yeah, that's this episode. And the cool thing is the cards all reference episodes from Next Generation, from the original, from Deep Space Nine, from the first, I think, 4 Star Trek shows. So
cool.
you look at the cards and you're like, oh, it's Trouble with Tribbles, or, some, episode that maybe you'd seen. So it's cool to see that. It really is Star Trek in a box. And the galaxy will unfold differently every time you play. So every time you play, it's going to be different. I think there can be some luck in the game, which is a criticism. You randomly discover planets, and it could be a planet you need. It could be a planet you don't. So that's a criticism of the game, but that's really not what the game is about, in my opinion. The game is just about exploration and the story that unfolds,
Sounds thematic.
It is very thematic. So it's cool.
That was a table hog. It was sprawled out. It was cool to see what the end game looked like.
Right. Yeah. And we posted some pictures on our Instagram. So if you're interested, go check it out on there. But it is definitely a table hog. So that's Star Trek Ascendancy.
So one of my other favorite moments at Origins was Kevin and I got to go to a beginner's class for mini painting with impending duff. And I had been wanting to figure out how to mini paint for a long time. I just needed to research it. I didn't know where to start, kind of a thing. But I always think that the painted minis are super cool in a game. It just makes it more fun and it's prettier to look at. And so I was excited for that class. I took a lot of notes. I think I was the only person in there taking notes. But I was very notes. I did.
Oh, he did.
I took many notes. And he was awesome. I wasn't familiar with him because I don't know mini painting very well, but he seems to be a prominent name, I guess, in mini painting itself. And he was very helpful with a lot of tips for little tricks on how to do things to make it easier and to work a little bit better and teach us a few skills. And I have already basically purchased everything that I need to get started. Nice. It arrived just last night, or yesterday, I should say. And so this weekend, I think I'll be able to pull out my new wet palette and get my brushes out. And I bought this little kit that came with 3 practice minis for me to work on. And I've got like 6 colors, so it's sort of the basic set to get that started.
Cool.
So cool.
You should do a YouTube channel from start to master of how to become a miniature painter.
I'm probably going to start at master though. So
I have seen some of the artwork in your house.
You've got some.
It is master stuff.
I like art. It's fun, and some of the games that immediately come to my mind that I have minis that I've always wanted to paint. I have Arcadia Quest. Have you guys ever played that?
Yep.
And I can't stand it. I can't tell the characters apart. I need to paint them. And Blood Rage is the other one that I think would be super cool with painted minis.
Anachrony.
Anachrony.
Oh.
Ankh.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I don't have those, but you guys do. So commission me.
I'll let you borrow my copy.
Done deal.
There's that one painting you have on your wall that's like completely abstract, but there's a face in it.
My pour painting?
Yeah.
Acrylic pours? It has an acrylic pour. There is no face, but
there is a face.
Tyler sees faces.
I did.
Now I can't unsee the face.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
that's awesome. No, that class was a lot of fun, and the minis that he passed around that he had done,
it's insane.
Like, wow, he's very talented,
and he's over there twitchy. His hands are shaky,
right?
And the level of detail that he could get was just amazing.
It was cool, but he taught, he showed the technique of how you get, if you are a little bit shaky,
here's what
anchor
you can do.
your hand, and here's what you do to get those straight lines and stuff. And it was interesting. Yeah, he was really good.
So I have no aspirations of ever doing any miniature painting because of the tediousness of it, and I have no artistic talent.
You don't even like pencils. So.
I don't like pencils. In fact, when you were talking about taking notes, I was like, he should have just done a voice memo or typed on a computer.
I typed the notes in my notepad on my phone.
Oh, okay. That's better. Okay.
To be clear.
But anyway, Shelly at some point is going to start painting some of our miniatures. Unfortunately, I had the math trade at that same time. So, which, you list a bunch of games and other people list games. And then there's once it's all computed, it tells you, it's a multi-trade system, right? So you're giving a game to someone and they're giving a game to someone and they're giving a game to someone who gives you a game. It's a really cool way of getting rid of some games that you might not want in your collection anymore and getting new games that you are interested in. So for instance, I traded Praga, Kaput Regni, and I got Lowlands, which is a game that I've wanted. It's a Dutch themed game, which I'm always interested in. Having lived there for a couple of years. I also I got Mystic Vale, which I wanted to try the card crafting system in that after playing Dead Reckoning. I traded that for a couple of the Century games, not Spice Road, but the second and third one. Not Gollum. I never got the Gollum version.
That's a
swindle.
Whole nother story.
Yes, I do not story.
Yeah, we don't need to go down that road. But then I also sold a number of games, and in fact, I had bought Arc Nova, lost a little bit of interest in it, knowing that Ben had also bought it, and so while I was at the math trade, I sold my copy of Arc Nova that I hadn't opened yet. So that was cool. I got rid of a lot of games. I went with a whole suitcase full of games. I came home with a whole suitcase full of games, most of them, from booths that I got, but did get some from the math trade. It was a neat experience. I have to say, show up on time, because there was one dude who was involved in like 20 trades that everybody was looking for that showed up an hour late, and that was kind of frustrating. But it is what it is, and it was a fun new experience. So cool. I would definitely be interested in doing math trades in the future at a con like that, just to kind of clear out some of my games. It was really, the whole experience was pretty easy.
Good.
Very cool.
But I did lose that piece. The egg piece.
The infamous egg piece.
The infamous egg piece. If you are interested in what that might be, go back and listen to any number of episodes where we've talked about the egg piece.
Somehow made it into Tyler's mouth. But,
whatever.
All right. Another thing that was a highlight for me is Tyler and I had a chance to go to the Rolling Dice and Taking Names meetup at Rodizio. There was a number of things that was awesome about this meetup.
That was really cool.
The food obviously was amazing. That was one. We got there and we noticed that there were some other people that were there for the meetup. And so we started introducing ourselves. So shaking hands with everybody, and then shake hands with the guy, and he introduced himself as Todd. And I looked at him and I said, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "I've just played Star Trek Ascendancy with you." so it just so happened that Todd, that taught me how to play Star Trek Ascendancy, was there at the meetup, and it was cool. It was just so cool. So we went and got.
I can't believe you didn't recognize him.
Well, everybody's wearing masks, right?
Oh.
So we weren't wearing masks at Rodizio, so it, didn't really recognize him. So anyway, we went and sat down, and I sat right across from Todd, and it was just so much fun talking about our play of Star Trek Ascendancy. And we talked about all kinds of other things, games and other conventions and stuff. And it was just a cool experience. So it was another one of those random experiences that just happened, that ended up being really cool. So that was a cool thing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Marty was there from Rolling Dice Taking Names. It was really cool to meet him, and
yeah, it was awesome.
Just some of the other people that were there, and a lot of fun. I somehow ended up with a bag of durian. What is it? What's the fruit that smells?
Durian.
I somehow ended up with the durian bag, which had these.
Were they dehydrated?
Little crunchy, there was the durian inside of
it was
stuff. I mean,
and it wasn't anywhere near as potent.
Marty acted like he was going to throw up every time he smelled it.
Yeah, he did, and he was awesome. It was nice to meet him, and I've always enjoyed listening to them and their podcast. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I thought the durian was really good.
I thought it tasted good too.
You tried it?
I did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
However, I made the mistake of eating it a little bit later the next day, where I was wearing a mask and having to breathe that smell in. It was potent.
Oh, okay.
It was. And if you left the Ziploc bag close and then opened it after a while, like the smell was, I could see where the smell comes from, but I still don't think it was as bad as if you open up a fresh one, right? Mm-hmm. But it was good. It was another fun, random experience.
Right.
A guy asked us for some help on the way home, and I didn't have any cash on me. So I was like, hey, do you want some durian? And he rejected it, but he's like, I don't know what that is.
Like,
I forgot about that. That was funny.
But, if he would have wanted it, I would have given it to him. But
absolutely,
it was just another fun experience.
There's a picture out there somewhere that Marty took of you eating, one of those durian.
And
right?
I hope that picture never sees the light of day. I'm sure it was a terrible picture.
I don't know. You're posing pretty good, so I'm sure it's a good one.
There were some cool people there that we met on our table and had some good discussions about games and podcasting and different podcasts and stuff. And it was super cool. We're sitting there talking to one of the guys that we had met, and he was, in passing, mentioned how he had designed some games, right? Mm-hmm. And come to find out, it's David Thompson, who has published, the Undaunted series of games.
Like War Chest.
Wow. War Chest.
Sniper Elite is one that's coming out soon. Or maybe it's already out.
I think it's hitting stores now, I think. But yeah, it was just super cool to talk to him and meet him. Just super down-to-earth guy, really nice.
Just talk about designing games and, how he does it. And it was just interesting.
Yeah,
right?
And like how much his kids play his games and stuff like that. And just, I think that's one thing we've talked about this before. It's so cool about the board game industry. Like, it's really just full of a lot of down-to-earth people who are passionate about this hobby, whether they're a content creator, they're a designer or publisher, right? They're, for the most part, pretty down to earth and just awesome people.
Yeah, they don't have egos or, it's not like sports like we've talked about where you just can't reach out to somebody in sports or movies and just talk to them.
Yeah.
But people in this industry, a lot more down to earth and more accessible.
Friendly.
Friendly.
Yeah. And so that was just a cool experience. Aside, I avoided the full-on meat sweats that you might get by eating at Rodizio. Mm-hmm. Cheesecake was amazing. David offered to teach us Undaunted and to play with him. How it worked out was I ended up getting to play with him the night before I flew out. And that was just such a cool experience. Undaunted we played Undaunted Reinforcements. If you're unfamiliar with Undaunted, I'm just going to go to the BGG description for it because I think that does a pretty amazing job of explaining what it is. It's a deck building game that places you and your opponent in command of American or German forces, fighting through a series of missions critical to the outcome of World War II. Use your cards to seize the initiative, bolster your forces, or control your troops on the battlefield. Strong leadership can turn the tide of battle in your favor, but reckless decisions could prove catastrophic, as every casualty you take removes a card from your deck. Take charge amidst the chaos of battle, hold fast in the face of opposition, and remain undaunted. If you love World War II history, then you need both Undaunted and Memoir 44 in your gaming collection. I love that Undaunted, there's a bunch of different scenarios to play through. If it hasn't already, I'm sure it has, but there is a ton of potential for user-created scenarios in this game. You need to get this game. It's awesome. I'm all in on it. I can't wait to get it to the table more. I'm excited. I've already ordered Normandy and reinforcements. I will be getting North Africa and Stalingrad and any other future iterations of this game. That was just such a cool experience to sit down, my first time ever with a designer of a game. He co-designed it with Trevor Benjamin, and playing a game, being taught by the designer and playing it. And just like I said, he's super down to earth guy. Just really cool. I was poking for more information, like, so when are things headed to the Pacific? And, trying to get more information. And he just kind of laughed. And, obviously he can't say things, but there are definite things coming down the road that I'm excited about and excited to find more information about. I think Stalingrad is coming out this year. A new version of Undaunted, and that is, I think it's campaign / legacy version of the game. And he was telling me how the publisher Osprey Games was initially requesting it to be designed, and how they kind of approached it a little differently. And it was just so cool to talk to him.
Behind the scenes stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of his buddies, Frank, was also there. So that was nice to meet him too. And, they both kind of helped me really learn the game. Frank and I lost. David was playing both sides in a 4-player game for the Germans. Right. Mm-hmm. And, it was just super cool to learn the game. What a cool
experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was the perfect way to cap off the end of Origins for me.
Yeah, Ben and I ended up getting out of Origins a little earlier on that Saturday. So I was a little bummed that I missed that play, but it sounds like an awesome experience. And you enjoyed the game?
Oh, it was super cool. I like Memoir 44.
I love Memoir.
Sounds like this would be a game for Mark.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I want it in my collection, and I want to be all in it. In fact, I messaged you today because you have Normandy.
Yeah.
And I don't have any of them. And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to go all in on all these. Do you want to trade me or sell me Normandy?
And what was my answer?
It was very emphatically, nope.
No way.
There's not a chance.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, because I haven't played it yet, but it's one that I've wanted to play, and I'll probably be all in as well.
So, it was a lot of fun. So again, such a cool experience. So when I got on the plane, or when we got on the plane to head to Origins, I had no idea at the end of it I'd be sitting down with David Thompson playing Undaunted. That was awesome.
Again, those unexpected experiences.
Yeah.
It's just, that's so cool. So cool.
Very cool.
So that about wraps up our experiences at our first Origins Game Fair. That was a lot of fun.
It was awesome.
We all had good times.
I'd love to go back.
We learned some things, and we'll maybe do a little differently next time, but it was an awesome experience.
It was a blast.
We'll definitely be going back in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
We hope that if you haven't had a chance to go to Origins, that maybe you'll get to go next time. Hopefully we'll see you there.
Yeah. Look for the sloth shirts at the next Origins. We'd love to say hi.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be there.
Tyson Strong.
Tyson and Mark and Dan, and we get all 6 of us there, and that'd be awesome.
Maybe we do our own meetup at Rodizio or some other restaurant.
We'll invite everybody else.
At Schmidt's.
Meetup at Schmidt. Hey-oh. That sounds
you're going to have to work hard to get there because it's a couple miles away, but
right.
It'll be worth your weight in sausage.
Or cream puffs.
Cream puffs.
Yeah, weight in cream puffs. Half-pound cream puff. Holy cow.
I ate 2 of those.
I did too. Oh my gosh. We ate a pound of cream puffs in 2 days. That's crazy.
Thanks for listening. Tot ziens.
Goodbye.
Good night.
In this episode, we're going to talk about some of the games we played at Origins. Gosh, I hit the table. Do you need to shift?
I do.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, like Llama Dice or like blah. I guess they're home.
Toilet.
What's the toilet?
Somebody went to the toilet.
You timed that perfectly.
I did.
Well, if you roll and you don't have any of the cards that are on the dude. Oh, we don't have Tyson here to wrap up stuff.
Do you want me to wrap it up or do you want to do it?
Either way, I don't care. So that about wraps up. Okay, I don't care. So that about wraps up. Cool. Well, I think that about wraps up some of our. Wow. You couldn't wait like 30 seconds.
He's like slowly lowering himself down. What do I do? He says in his head.
I'm committed now.
I already started moving.
Okay, sorry.